Hi everyone. Welcome to Wednesday night. How are you? We are back. It's Wednesday night and I have a great show tonight. Tonight is our first breast sleeping Q&A.
Woo!
Woohoo! All right, and I got Rebecca Michi, the sleep guru. I'm going the wrong way. To the side of me here. What a perfect name. I won't even tell you what I was going to put for me.
I'll tell you, it was Boob Guru.
Boob Guru. Sleep Guru and Boob Guru. Booby Guru. All right, hold on. We're getting this set up here. All right, Joe. Hold on. No. Okay. So, all right. Anyway, so good to see you guys. It is Wednesday again, and everybody's jumping. Oh, we're going to have a good night tonight. Everybody's jumping in. We got a big chat room tonight. So Rebecca and I were talking after the last sleep Q&A, and we were like, this is so good together. This is just, this is like chocolate and peanut butter, you know? Not just Rebecca and I, which we love spending time together, or I'll say I do. Rebecca can sleep for herself. Speak for herself. Maybe she doesn't. I don't know.
No, I do.
She does. But breastfeeding and sleeping just go so hand in hand, and I'm sure all you guys can attest to that. You all know it's like the two things that you want to ask the most about, and we just thought this is a great way for us to do our Q&As. And if you like it, I want to hear you in the chat. Let's get some hearts going across the screen if you like this idea, because we're thinking we're going to continue this like on a monthly basis and show up here to answer your questions, because there's so many questions, right?
Yeah.
So let's get some hearts. Let's hear from you all. And yes, so Rebecca, thank you again for being with me once again. We've done this several times. This will probably be our last time for 2017.
It probably will. Yeah, yes. It probably will.
We've had some really good shows together this year.
Yeah, we have. It's been a pleasure. It's always fun.
So much fun. So for anybody who's new, I want to hear from you right now. If you're new in the chat, we have a lot of new people all the time. The page keeps growing and we keep adding new mamas and dads all over the world. So tell us if you're new. And if you don't know me by now, I'm Shari Criso. I'm a registered nurse. I'm a certified nurse midwife, and I'm an international board certified lactation consultant. And I'm here. We're going to answer all your questions, and I've got Rebecca. So I'm going to give Rebecca the mic for a minute. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Yeah. Tell them about you.
You forgot to add Boob Guru onto the end.
Guru. That's right. I feel like I want to change my title here underneath.
Yeah, you really should.
Maybe I will. Go ahead. You go. I'll do it.
Okay. My name is Rebecca Michi. I am a sleep guru, or a children's sleep consultant is my formal title. But this evening I thought I'd go casual and go with sleep guru. I am a gentle, no cry sleep consultant. So I'm not advising families to leave their children to cry it out. I use much more hands-on, gentle techniques when I'm working with families. If at all we need to do any sleep training, there's actually a lot we can do to get better sleep without doing any of the scary stuff. I'm also a bit of a realist, and I like to be letting families and parents know when things are quite normal and what to expect and what actually is normal when it comes to how your child is going to sleep. And sometimes people find that a little bit shocking from a children's sleep consultant, because a lot of time it's kind of normal. Waking is normal. We all do it. And it's not very often that you'll hear a sleep consultant say that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's what I love about when you're answering questions, Rebecca, because the answer is not always find a way to get them to sleep more. That's not always the answer. I think one of the first shows we did earlier this year was all about, we started with all the sleep myths.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and it was so important to cover all of that, because it was all about just understanding what's normal, so that you understand that you're actually doing fine. There's nothing wrong. And so much of the time, even with breastfeeding, when we're answering the questions about sleep or about breastfeeding, I read through the questions. I'm like, actually, everything's perfect. It's the way it's supposed to go. And it's about understanding the normalness. Okay, if that's a word, the norms, okay, that what is actually normal and healthy for your child. And so sometimes we'll give you tips, and sometimes we're just going to kind of address what's normal and make sure that you have full understanding and knowledge, because that's going to help so much. So great. All right, so let's do first of all, I want to just say we have some amazing sponsors tonight. Okay, we have great prizes, and you have to be here in the chat for the prizes tonight. That's what we're going to do for our Q&As. You need to be here. You need to be posting your questions. I want to hear from you. Tonight, our sponsors are Lullaby Earth and the Well Mom Breast Support Pillow. Yay! Okay, two of my favorite brands. They're both amazing. One of them is for sleep and one of them is for breastfeeding. And so I would love to take a minute and show a little video from Lullaby Earth just before we get started and tell you about the prizes that they're going to be giving away. Lullaby Earth is going to be giving away one of their amazing Breeze mattress pads in your choice of color. Okay, I actually have one right here. Okay, this is this big pad. Every time I take this out, you know what Lucky does? He thinks it's a new bed for him. And he like starts barking and wants to sit on it. But this is the Breeze mattress pad. Actually, it's in the green. Okay, if you can see that. And those are amazing. And someone's going to win one. And then I also have the breast support pillow. And I can show you there are different sizes these come in. And I'm going to talk about that in just a few minutes and what you do with this pillow. But I kind of want to show the video. So let's do that real quick for Lullaby Earth. So hold on one second. Here we go. Okay.
Every mom knows the value of a good night's sleep. When our baby sleeps well, we sleep well. Lullaby Earth created a crib mattress that's unlike any other. It's made from only the best materials for a healthy, comfortable, better sleep for your baby. Here's what I love about the new Lullaby Earth crib mattress. Safety is the #1 priority. It may seem hard to believe, but a lot of other mattresses are treated with chemicals that aren't good for babies or the environment. Lullaby Earth created the mattress with this in mind and kept it free of harmful chemicals. It's lightweight too, which means the chore of changing the sheets just got easier. Easy to lift, easy to change. Replacing the sheets is a simple one-person job. Of course, diaper accidents are a reality. That's why I love how this mattress is waterproof, and its seamless edges make it really easy to clean. It wipes up fast and lets you get back to sleep fast. And it's firm yet comfortable for your baby, providing just the right amount of support. It also meets your doctor's and the Consumer Product Safety Commission's recommendations. That's a good thing. It has a ton of other great features too, like recyclable design and a limited lifetime warranty. You love your baby more than you could have ever imagined. Rest easy with the Lullaby Earth crib mattress. See other great features at lullabyearth.com.
Awesome. Oh, well, that was great. You got to see all the amazing features of Lullaby Earth. Wasn't that smart to be able to see from,
Yeah.
let it describe all of it, because honestly, I want to hear from each of you. Oh, it's playing again. Hold on a second. Hold on. Okay, here we go. I want to hear from each of you in the chat if you want to win the mattress pad tonight. I want to hear, you all heard some of the features. I want to hear, what are your favorite features? Why do you need this mattress pad? Why would you love it? Go ahead and post right into the chat right now. So let's start with a question. We'll come back to the next prize in a few minutes, all right? Rebecca, here's a question from Sao Ching Nung, okay? Yep. She's a really awesome follower of ours. She's been on for a long time here with us. I've been nursing my 15-month-old daughter to sleep since she was born. She now still wakes every 3 to 4 hours to nurse at night. She has to latch to sleep every night. Even some days when I work overtime, she will still wait for me to come back home to nurse her to sleep. We tried to introduce a levy, but she refused. How do we get her to sleep without latching on? how to slowly phase out those night feedings. We tried to give water or milk in a bottle when she woke up at night, but she refused that too.
Okay, great. Right. So the child is needing some help getting to sleep. So that's with the being latched on. And so waking is completely normal. Humans wake between 2 and 6 times a night. So we're never, ever trying to get a child to sleep through the night, because it's just not at all possible. What we want to do is we want to be that the parents are not actually having to be involved with those wake-ups. But if your child is relying on you or some way to get to sleep, then they rely on that. So when they wake, they're just needing that help then to be able to get back to sleep. So if we can teach the child to be able to get themselves back to sleep, and initially to sleep, then the parent's not going to need to be there to be having to help. So I would suggest, first off, I suggest really sort of looking at daytime routines, nap time routines, so the daytime schedule. So a child of 15 months potentially will be on 1 nap, maybe still on 2 naps. Most children drop down to 1 nap, but actually at the average is 15 months. Making sure that the routine for getting ready for sleep is really nice and relaxing for nap time and for nighttime. So spend a little bit of time working on those and tweaking those if they need to be tweaked. Then what you could do, either really sort of going out doing some sleep training, or you can go about doing this really gradually, really, really slowly. And it may be that that's going to suit mom a little bit more. The fact that she's still been feeding to sleep until this age, until 15 months, and back to sleep, makes me think that she's wanting to go a little bit more gentle. So what I would start doing would be to know the average time that she's nursing for just at the beginning of the night. Let's just say that's 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then she's nursing for 10 minutes. It could be that she's laying with the child, or she's then laying the child down. But what I do is reduce down the amount of minutes that she's nursing for by like a minute or 2. So then she would only be nursing for, say, 8 minutes, but still hold or stay there for that extra time. And so she's leaving at the same time that she normally would. Do this for 3 or 4 nights and then reduce down again a little bit more. So we're still offering the help, but what we're working on is just not needing that to be latched on as much. So it's as if you're doing this initially just at the beginning of the night, it may be that you're just doing then a tiny little bit of a nursing, but then still very much present, very much hands-on. You may be rocking or holding. But chances are then, if your child's not needing to get into that deep sleep whilst they're latched on, that could change the whole night. You could then eliminate wake-ups by just working on that at the beginning of the night. So then you would sort of work on that at the beginning of the night, see then what that does with you during the night. If you were able to eliminate a feed or 2, then that's great. You just worked on your beginning of the night, you were able to eliminate night feeds. But then you could do a similar thing for the feeds that you are getting during the night. So it's not a quick fix by any means, but it's a super gentle way of being there and supporting your child as you're encouraging a little bit more independence. And just sort of as the days go by, you're just encouraging that literally it's 2 minutes of more of independence.
I love what you're offering, because what you're basically saying is you're kind of easing them into it. You're easing them down. It's the same thing as when you begin weaning. You know, you're just, you don't want to do anything abruptly. Abruptness is going to throw them off of their routine. It's going to disrupt them. It's going to upset them. I mean, you can imagine they don't understand that you don't want to continue doing this. So you want to kind of ease them out of it, like Rebecca's recommending and explaining there. And I just think that's the gentlest way to go about it. 15 months is hard too. I think we talked about this last time. It's just a hard age. It's hard to reason with a 15-month-old. Like they don't forget quickly. You know, the older that they get, they do remember. So they don't forget quickly, and it's really hard to explain. You can't really explain anything to them or reason with them. So it's a kind of a rough age. I think that doing it where they're not noticing, a minute here, a minute there, slowly cutting back, that's going to be the best way for sure.
Definitely, it is, because now these children are getting very opinionated at this age, and so just the gentlest way that you can go is just go. You're going to have much more success, because a 15-month-old has a lot of stamina. And if you were suddenly going to make those big abrupt changes, you're going to be awake for hours and hours and hours. I guarantee it. Yeah. And so, just go super gentle, and you can't go wrong. You really can't.
Yep. So this next question, first of all, let's get some hearts. Here's the rule for the breast sleeping Q&As and every Q&A we do. When we answer a question, we give hearts to the person who asked that question, and that was Faith. That was Sal who asked that question. So let's get some hearts for the person who asked the question and for the people who answered the question, because we like to see the hearts going across the screen. Thank you. Okay, so the next question came in from Christina. There we go. Thank you, guys. She says, I'm planning on breastfeeding. Is there anything that I should pack in my hospital bag when I go and deliver? Should I get breast shields or not? So
that's a great question.
It's a great question. And, I'm going to answer. First of all, I want to show you something as we're talking about breastfeeding products and what kind of things to have available. This was the next prize, and I want to hear from all of you in the chat. Again, this is the breast support pillow. And now you guys have heard of breastfeeding pillows where you're actually laying the baby on the pillow to breastfeed, to give support. But this is actually a pillow for your breast. It's so genius, I just love this. What this is for is when the breast is really heavy, and it doesn't mean that you have to have extremely large breasts to use this. Some people use this when, when I used to sell these in my store all the time, like years ago. It's actually how I started working with Nadia and Anita, who are sisters and designed this and own the company. But these actually, when they're in the size like a C cup, a D cup, really, really popular. I sold more of those than anything else. These go all the way up to a J cup. Here's the J, here's the small, and here's the extra large, okay? So we all come in different sizes, and as you can see, the breast pillow also comes in different sizes, but what we're doing is we're squeezing this down and sticking it under the breast, and as it expands, it lifts the breast up. And why is that important? Well, when you're nursing the baby, it's really going to help to get a good latch where the nipple is going directly into the baby's mouth. Sometimes when the breast is really heavy, it drags the nipple down, and that can kind of pull out of the side of the baby's mouth. How many of you guys have to hold your breast to nurse, or that you feel more comfortable? I
had to do that. I spent months holding my boob.
Yeah, exactly.
I spent months
hold the breast straight up, and
to
support it. And I don't have large breasts, but I still needed to support the breast. And this is one of those things that you can use no matter what size you are. And I recommend that if you go to get the breast pillow, make sure that you follow their measurement guide, because the measurements what you consider a D cup may not be what is really a D cup. So I recommend following not only their sizing on the cup size, but also their measurement to find the right one. And Joe's going to post a link to be able to get the breast pillow. We have a discount for you guys, but we're also giving one away today. So if you would like to win the breast pillow, go ahead and post right here into the chat. Tell me how it would help you, what you like about it. If you're expecting and you're just like, yeah, that makes sense. Tell me about that. That's okay. But yeah, it's having good latch in position is extremely important to make sure that you don't have pain while you're nursing. And on top of not having pain, having a good latch is going to help your baby to be more efficient in getting the milk out. And when the milk is coming out well, that means that you're going to maintain and help your milk supply too. So it has to do with not having soreness and also having a good milk supply, two things that are probably most important when it comes to breastfeeding. So this is just one of those things that I love. So I'm going to say when you're planning on breastfeeding and you're going to the hospital and you're packing your bag, if you happen to have the breast support pillow, I would go ahead and pack it. Especially if you're having multiples, that's actually really great too, because being able to have one under each side is really going to help if you're going to try to latch two babies. But that would be a good thing to put into your bag, the breast pillow. Other things that I would take are your nursing bras. To start, wearing your nursing bras right there. It'll make for easy access. Make sure that you're getting something that has full exposure. Some of the nursing bras, you're kind of squeezing through a hole, especially with a newborn. You want the whole bra to open up or pull apart so that not only does the whole breast get exposed, but you can also do skin to skin with the baby, so that you're actually getting full exposure. That's super important with a newborn. to do. All right, so having your good nursing bras. If you do have a breastfeeding pillow, it's probably a good idea to go ahead and take it with you. Sometimes in the beginning, you could nurse right there in the bed. You could use the bed pillows, but sometimes it's just not going to be enough and you're not going to be comfortable. I recommend, get up, sit in the chair. They usually have some nice glider chairs right there, and nurse the baby in the position that you're going to be doing. Get into an upright position. Use the breastfeeding pillow. And if you don't have one, that's okay. You can use a regular pillow too. It just gives you a little bit more of a base. I like a more firm breastfeeding pillow, especially with a newborn, because it holds them up to the breast a little bit better. The breast friend pillows are a really good one like that, to give a little bit of firmness, something that's not going to cause the baby to sink in between the pillow and your body. All right, so that it really does help you. As far as breast shields, I think what you meant to say, Christina, was nipple shields. And there's a difference. I mean, breast shields are something completely different. For some people have used them for inverted nipples or flat nipples. Even then, I don't recommend them for that as well. But I think what you were talking about was a nipple shield. And that's a little silicone cover that goes over the nipple when someone has an issue latching their baby, whether, again, from flat nipples, inverted nipples, sometimes soreness. There's different reasons to use a nipple shield, but I really highly encourage anyone, before they use a nipple shield, to make sure that they're consulting with an IBCLC. If there's a reason to use a nipple shield, then there's a reason to get a consultation and get help with that. Nipple shields are amazing tools when we need them, but you don't want to just go ahead and buy one at Babies R Us and bring it with you just in case and do it yourself. You want to make sure that you're getting help. Sometimes there's lactation consultants in the hospital that can help you. Just make sure. One of the biggest issues that I see with nipple shields in the hospital is that sometimes it can be hard to get colostrum through that because it's so thick. And as well as the other thing too is that they give out really small shields. So make sure you're getting a shield that fits. Really small shield, I'll get people come in for consultations and it's just because they've been given a really tiny shield for a nipple that it just doesn't fit your nipple, and it really has to. Just the way a flange on a pump would have to fit your nipple, so does the shield. All right, so I would say don't get the shield if you ask me, Christine, unless someone has consulted with you and you've seen a lactation consultant and you've done this in the past and you had some issue. I wouldn't plan on that. I would just wait. I would wait and then get help. There's not much that you need to bring. I don't usually recommend bringing your breast pump to the hospital. Most times you don't need to use it. And if there was ever a reason, you can use one that is there. If you wanted to try and at least bring it over and see if the lactation consultants can give you some support. Sometimes they can, sometimes they can't, and you don't usually have milk in the hospital, so don't usually see much of a reason to bring your pump. There's not much to bring, all right? There's really not much to bring. Make sure you have your bras, your pillow, yourself, and your knowledge. And if I could think of one thing, I guess the most important thing to bring to the hospital is a good knowledge base about what you're going to be doing while you're there. And so taking a class, learning, taking even my class, I'm going to go ahead and recommend it right now, because honestly, it's one of the best classes that you could take before going to the hospital to breastfeed. And if I have any of my students in the chat right now, I'd like you to speak up and say you've taken the class, the Simply Breastfeeding class. More than any product you can buy, that's the thing that's going to help you the most with breastfeeding in those early days and hours. So there's my answer. Okay.
Great.
Fantastic. Yay. Okay, so hearts for Christina, and good luck with your new baby, and hearts for the answer. All right, and we're going to have some time, I think, to answer a few questions in the chat as well. So yes. Let's keep going here with some of the questions that were posted. Okay, this one came in from Molly. She said, we're switched all around on our days and nights here, also trying to get back to birth weight. Any suggestions on gaining? I think I'm going to take that one, Rebecca, because this is one of those things where that's normal, and I'm sure you'll agree with that. Okay, if you're talking about birth weight still, and you're talking about getting back to birth weight, that means your little one is pretty brand new. All right, we're talking the first 2 weeks probably. And maybe not, it could be even older. And in that case, for sure, you want to be nursing through the night. Babies do have their nights and days mixed up. And that's just when they nurse the best, and it's when they need to nurse. It's actually when your prolactin level is the highest. It's when you have the most amount of milk. It's what helps you to keep that milk supply going. You wouldn't be able to sleep through the night, even if your baby did, which wouldn't be good, okay? Your breasts would wake you up if your baby didn't. And if you're still trying to get that baby back to birth weight, I would be nursing every 2 hours, maybe 3 hours at night if you can. But if you're still working on weight gain, then I would say make sure that you're nursing frequently. Those nighttime feedings are super important. Super important. You know, when you stop nursing at night, you're actually you're giving that signal to your body that your baby's older, your baby's sleeping through the night. The body starts to adapt pretty quickly. And so it's the opposite of what you want. And any suggestions on gaining, let me say this, babies grow at different rates. And so the idea that they need to gain a certain amount per day is really based on formula feeding and not breastfeeding. And I'm going to say that because I even have, people in my life who are breastfeeding and they're, worried about weight gain or clients of mine. And it's like breastfed babies don't gain the same amount every single day, which is why we don't weigh them every single day. Okay. Breastfed babies will gain somewhere between 4 to 8 ounces per week on average. And what that means is that some weeks they'll gain a little more and some weeks they're going to gain a little less. As they finally are up to birth weight and you're going less frequently to the physician, weighing once a month, as long as you're getting those wet and poopy diapers and everything's looking good, is actually the best way to go about it, so that you don't accidentally deem the baby not gaining enough. And then what happens if the baby's not gaining fast enough? Then we need to do something about it. You really need to watch those wet diapers, make sure the baby's hydrated. Lots of, yellow, poopy, seedy stool is good. And all of that is going to tell you that the baby's hydrated and getting enough food. But as far as any suggestions on gaining, in the beginning, try to make sure you're nursing frequently enough and switch feed breasts back and forth if you need to. Okay, so sometimes we talk about if the breast is really, really full, staying on the first breast as long as you can to get all that nice hind milk, and then switching to the other side. But then at the same time, you don't want to stay on the first breast so long that the baby's just wearing themselves out towards the end and not getting a ton of milk. So you really have to listen for those swallows. When the baby stops swallowing a lot, that's when you want to try to switch sides so that they're not working too hard and burning extra calories instead of getting more milk. And also breast compression can really help as well. So when the baby's latched, compressing the breast and, massaging the breast, putting warm compresses on the breast beforehand, letting the milk flow easier is going to help that baby to get more. But keep waking them. Don't let them sleep too long. You want them to, if they're up at night, great. Feed at night and take a nap during the day.
Yeah. And just something to add with that is that the day and night's getting mixed up. At this age, there is no day and night sleeps. Everything is just a nap. Everything is a nap. So they don't have any concept of day or night. That begins to develop between 6 and 12 weeks. And then it's kind of pretty much developed by 12 weeks. But at this stage, everything is a nap. Everything is. And hunger just sort of dictates all those wake ups.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. You don't want your baby sleeping through the night, especially right now when you're dealing with weight gain. It's the opposite of what you want. Thank God the baby's waking up frequently to feed, because sometimes we get babies who are so sleepy, it's hard to wake them, especially in the beginning. If your baby's awake at night, get those feedings in.
Yeah.
Okay. Congratulations on your baby, Molly. So let's get some hearts for Molly going across the screen. Hearts for Molly. What, Joe? Oh, okay. So Ingrid, she's posting. I can't see it good. I took the class with my third. I have to click on it. And going on 15 months strong. Awesome, Ingrid. Thank you for sharing that. That makes me so happy to hear people's success stories and to know that, you're watching the class and it's giving you all the information that you need. Thank you for sharing that. Fantastic. Okay. Yay. All right, next question. This came from Jordan, Rebecca. She says, after a C-section, co-sleeping nursing was the only way I got to sleep once I could actually lay flat. Thankfully, I was able to have a VBAC with my second, but we still chose to co-sleep to make sleep happen. She's on the boob like what seems all night.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure there was a question there. Congratulations, Jordan. Good for you and your VBAC and your breastfeeding baby. I'm sorry, that wasn't a question, but I'm really happy you shared, Jordan. I'm happy to hear it, actually. Why not?
Excellent.
Why not? Hey, hearts for Jordan. Watch out.
That's it, hearts for Jordan.
Hearts for Jordan, right. Hearts for Jordan. Excellent. All right. Let's find another question here. Okay. The next question was from Jessica. Jessica said, my breastfed son is almost 5 months old and wakes up every 2 hours at night. I'm having trouble figuring out when he is truly hungry or just crying to fuss. Is there an average amount of feedings at night for this age?
There is between 0 and 100.
Good answer.
Normally somewhere in there.
Right.
Yeah. There actually is no normal really when it comes, especially with this age group.
Mm-hmm.
There really is such a variation of normal. Was he 5 months old or nearly 5 months?
He's almost 5 months.
Okay. So waking often is completely normal. It really, really is. And what you can do is because waking, as I've mentioned earlier, waking is completely normal. We all do it. And you can see whether your child is hungry or not by just trying to soothe another way, especially if they've just had a good feed and they're waking really quickly after. So if they're, and I'm meaning sort of like 20 minutes after a good feed, and you've burped them really well, so it's not a burp, you can try just rocking to sleep. You can just try that. If they go to sleep fairly quickly, then they just needed the help getting back down to sleep. If you're still there after 20 minutes, you decide how long you want to do that for, then you can just feed them. Because honestly, a child who's still 4 months, every 2 hours is really not unheard of at all. It really, really isn't. But and another thing I would suggest for one, and just do it, I wouldn't do this for every time simply because of the age. With an older child, you could do this at each wake up, but would be just to kind of wait and see. Now, if you hear that big urgent cry, I call it the mummy, I need you now cry. Don't ever ignore that ever. It's very hard for us mums to do anyway. That's the cry that you're jumping out of bed before you've even woke up when you hear that cry. Just always go to that. But if your child is awake and they're not crying, they're just hanging out. You can look at the time, see when it was that they last fed, and if you think, okay, let's just see, you can leave them for a little bit. Yeah. It may be that they're just sort of being more vocal than crying. And so again, you can just leave them for a little bit. It may be that the cry is not a really big cry. It's just sort of a stop-start. Again, you can leave them for a little bit. As I say, don't ever ignore the big urgent cry. And it may start off that your child wakes and they're actually hanging out for a little bit. And then they get a little bit vocal, then it gets so fussy, and then it's more of a, okay, now you really need to come and help me. Now, and then go and just go see what it is that your child can do, because it may be that you don't actually need to be helping them. They may be awake for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, just at that, either hanging out, vocal, or just a bit fussy, and then get themselves back to sleep. And then if you don't need to help, that's not even then classed as a night wake up. So you've eliminated one of the wake ups straight away. So I would just try it once a night. And just see. It doesn't mean you have to do it every night either. If it doesn't happen, one night, doesn't mean you've got to do it every single night. And I would try this for a wake up before 4 a.m. After 4 a.m., none of us get into a deep sleep. And so that's when we all need more help getting back to sleep. So I would try it much earlier in the night.
Yeah, that was something that came up the last time we had our Q&A was, getting the baby up a little earlier to nurse, to get that nice stretch towards the late morning, early morning hours. before 3, before 4.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I think that you pretty much answered that one. I'm going to go on to the next one here. Jeanette asked that, well, first of all, let's get some hearts. Sorry. Hearts for Jessica and hearts for Rebecca. All right. Let's get some hearts going across. Jeanette said, my 7-week-old is sleeping 6 to 8 hour stretches at night. Isn't it interesting how everybody's got a different story?
Yeah.
See? I'm worried about my supply at this early in my breastfeeding journey. Do we sleep or do we sleep through it, or do I pump? You know, I'm gonna go ahead and take this question because by the time the baby's at least 6 weeks old, I would say that if your baby's sleeping 6 to 8 hour stretches at night, gaining weight appropriately, giving you those wet and poopy diapers, reaching all their milestones developmentally, and doing everything they're supposed to do, then the goal would be, if they can sleep, go ahead and sleep. Why wouldn't you? The body's going to react and respond to whatever you do. So now you've got your baby sleeping through the night and you're getting up to feed your pump. Now, this could be a good thing if you want to collect some extra milk. This is a perfect time to pump. 3 a.m., 2 a.m., put the pump on just for a short while, and probably you'll get an extra whole feeding if you wanted to do that, especially if you're going back to work or if you're already working at that point. Lots of moms will pump during the night, sometimes while they're feeding the baby on one side, pumping the other side, or if the baby's sleeping, to get that extra little bit of milk during the night might be a good time. But if that's not the case and you've got plenty of milk, then I would say go ahead and get your sleep. Your body may take a little bit of time to get used to this. Like we said earlier, the middle of the night, the breasts are the fullest, and it may be a little bit of a transition, and you may feel really, really full where you feel like you're not making it through the night. This could also need like sort of a weaning process for your breast. While the baby's doing it overnight and doing what they need, your breasts may need to be weaned down slowly. And what I mean by that is you may have to put your pump on just a little, not empty them or drain them fully, but just get a little bit out so that you're not so full that you don't wind up with mastitis or plug ducts or anything like that. And each night, just wean that amount down a little bit till you're actually able to go through the night and match your baby. The goal here, long term, as you're breastfeeding, is to match your pattern with your baby's as much as possible. Like I said, if you're working and you need extra milk, maybe you don't want to, maybe you want to pump extra, but if you're home, then I would try to get on the same schedule and get your sleep. Really important. And the baby's getting all they need during the day. So notice how our answers are totally different depending on who we're answering. On one side, we're saying, pump, feed during the night, wake during the night. On this side, we're saying, no, sleep during the night. Because what's the common thing here? The common thread is we're letting the baby guide what the baby needs, and they know what they need. And as long as everything else, like we said, is normal, you want to go with what your baby's doing. So that's great. Great, good for you, Jeanette. You're gonna have a lot of jealous moms.
Definitely.
I'm jealous, okay, because my babies did not sleep through the night.
No, mine didn't.
At all. For like my second one, I mean, she was 3 years old. She was still getting up during the night. That sound of her screaming, "Mama!" in the middle of the night still reverberates in my brain. I can still hear it. But let's get some hearts for Jeanette. Good for you, Jeanette. Congratulations. What? You pinned Nadia's post. Okay, let me pull something up from in the chat room here. Let me see if I could find. I can't see pin posts here on Be Live, but I may be able to scroll down to it. Did you want me to pull that up? Oh, there we are. Okay, let's see if we could do this. All right, well, let's hide our guru names here. Okay. Let's see if I can read it. Nadia says, my 3-week-old is more awake during the night, so more feeding during the night. Just got my even flow pump with my free Shari Criso classes, planning to watch as soon as possible. Yay. Woohoo! Great, Nadia. Yeah, you're going to love it. And that breast pumps and briefcases class is going to be great to learn how to use that awesome pump that you got. Congratulations. Fantastic. All right. So let's see. I'm just new at posting these here. So let me put this back. And let me see if I can find a question that we can answer for someone. All right, let's answer this question right here. It's a long one, but I'm going to post it anyway. Okay. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, let's not do that. I'll read it. It's completely covering your face. That won't work. Okay. This is Felisa. She says her son is 8.5 months old and he wakes up every 3 hours at night. He was waking every hour, but I kept going in and giving him a pacifier. So we got him to stretch it out. But he's not sleeping the night. He also doesn't nap well during the day, 30-minute naps about 2 times a day. What can I do to help him sleep better? Is it normal for a breastfed baby to wake so much?
As I've mentioned, there is no normal. So I'm not going to, yes and no. Let's just say yes and no because there's no normal. Mm-hmm. What I would start doing is I'd start working on your daytime. And anybody who's worked with me or has sort of been hanging out on my Facebook page for any duration of time knows that this is always the place to get started, is with the daytime. It may be that you're having issues with your nighttime sleep, but the daytime is always what we get started on. And I do this in my member site, and I do this when I work privately with families. Because if we could, we're definitely having an issue with the naps there. 2 30-minute naps is definitely on the lower end of what we'd like at this age. Working on the daytime can really, really help. So that means that we're aiming for naps at the right time, when we're not undertired, we're not overtired, not overstimulated. So getting naps at the right time. So looking at that daily schedule. Then looking at your nap time routine. So that means getting nice and relaxed before the naps. Your child is going to have much more success being able to actually nap. If we've got them nice and relaxed, we're getting them at the perfect time. So I spend at least a week, maybe even 2, working on these daytime routines before we make any changes with nights. Because especially with this age, we can as much as half nighttime wake-ups by just working on our daytimes. So it's really, really important to get started on this because it's super easy, super easy. Mm-hmm. On my website, which is childrensleepconsultant.com. When we're done, I'll post the link to this because, you don't want to leave now because there's a lot of good info that we've got. But I do have a free course on my website, which is called 10 Days to Better Naps. And this goes step by step as to how you can work on your daytime routines, the daytime schedule, the nap time routine, how you can work on these, and then how that's going to impact your nighttime as well. So as I say, that's always where I get started. And then even with a child who we've worked together, the child is sleeping great, but they suddenly start waking again during the night. First thing I'm looking at is the daytime and what do we need to change there. So that seems to be that's where at least half of nighttime issues come from daytimes. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's why you always want to, I see Laura, she's been on that. She's done our 10 Days to Better Naps course. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, we can just really, if you can get 2 hour and a half naps, that's 3 hours total nap time sleep during the day, which is totally age appropriate. Your night is going to look very, very different because your child is not overstimulated and they're not too overtired.
That's such a big misconception. And you see people doing this with their babies, is trying to keep them awake. Yeah. Thinking that by keeping them awake more during the day, they'll sleep better at night, which is the complete opposite. The baby does get overtired. When and I'll just say this, for children, for babies, they don't, when we're like as an adult, when we're tired, we crash. Yeah. But children don't do that. They get
they do the opposite. Yeah. It's like you give them 4 shots of espresso, 3 tablespoons of sugar, and a can of Red Bull. Yeah, they're bouncing off the walls. They're not doing what we're doing.
Exactly. It's the opposite. You really want to help them. And I think that's such good advice, such sound advice, is to really help them get better sleep with those naps. And like Rebecca said, go on her her website after the show. We'll post the link here after so that everybody can go over. You can also go follow Rebecca on her Facebook page too. Great information. We're going to be working together for 2018. breastfeed more and more. This is just the beginning, what you're seeing right here in our live chats. I'm very excited. We'll keep that a little bit of a surprise, but we're going to be doing some great stuff so that you guys can get as much knowledge as you can from both of us. So let me just post a few pictures here. Again, our prizes tonight are Lullaby Earth's Breeze Crib Mattress Pad, okay, which is the awesome waterproof, breathable mattress pad that allows for air circulation around your baby. If you have a sweaty baby, go ahead and post, I have a sweaty baby. Because babies sweat so much.
Oh my gosh, they do. Yeah.
I have a sweaty baby. Okay, post that, and then just make sure that you're telling me all the features and what you love about the Lullaby Breeze Crib Mattress Pad, so you can win one. We're going to pick a winner tonight, and then this is here. I'm going to show you this picture here. So this is the breast pillow. Okay, the Well Mom Support breast support pillow, and just so you could see it with a baby and a breast, all right? Because I want to make sure that you understand what I'm talking about. It's not a breastfeeding pillow, it's a breast support pillow that allows for the breast to be held into position so you don't have to hold with your hand. And so many people have written to me and said, oh my God, like, why didn't anybody ever think of this before? Well, they did. You know, here it is. And it's actually been around for quite a while. It's just that a lot of people aren't aware that this exists, and they know they're holding their breasts. But this is one of what we're going to give away tonight too. It's from Well Mom Breast Support Pillow. And love, love, love them and their product. So let me know if you'd like one, okay? Let's answer a question here in the chat. I'm going to post it, okay? This is from, and I'm going to hide our names. This is from Maggie. She said, hi, Maggie. She said, planning a night away with my spouse. My baby is 1 month old and only breastfeeding. How much should I have pumped for an overnight? Okay, great question. And 1 month is kind of early to be, especially if you're exclusively breastfeeding to go. So I'm not saying you shouldn't go, but we need to make sure that you're pumping frequently while you're away for 2 reasons. One is that you want to make sure that you are maintaining your milk supply for that entire night while you're gone. Breast milk will change rapidly if you allow your breast to get too engorged. So 2 things can happen if the breasts get too full while you're gone. One is that you could end up with a breast infection, a mastitis. You can get really sick from that. So you want to try to avoid that at all costs by keeping the breast too full. The other thing is when the breast fills too much, that extra pressure from all that milk in the breast where they're really, really full gives a really strong signal to your brain for your body to make less. So that after that day, you may see a drop in your milk supply, and it will take you have to catch up with that. So you want to maintain your supply so you come home the way you left, and you want to make sure that you keep yourself emptying so that you don't end up sick. The other reason would be to, make sure that you have some milk to bring home. Well, you're actually going to come home. So it's a matter of saving up some milk like you're asking for that night away. How much do you need? It all depends on how frequently your baby eats. And I don't just mean how much they eat during the night. How much are they eating? How often are they eating in 24 hours? We usually calculate how much the milk the baby needs based on how frequent your feedings are. The norm, an average baby, breastfed baby, needs somewhere between 24 to 28 ounces in a 24-hour period. It's 1 to 1.25 ounces per hour on average. Some babies drink a little more, some are drinking a little bit less, especially at 1 month old. So look at how many times a day you're feeding. And this really goes to breast capacity. It means how much can the breast hold at a given time. That's going to determine how frequently you need to feed. So when one mom may need to feed every 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours, you may be feeding every 2 hours. And what that means is over a 24-hour period, you're still feeding about the same amount of milk. You're just able to, some moms can go a little bit longer and have more milk in their breasts. Others need to feed more frequently in order to get the full amount into the baby. That was me. I needed to feed like every 2 hours. I just didn't have a huge breast capacity. And so I still was able to exclusively breastfeed. So if you're calculating how much to leave for the night, look at how frequently the baby eats, and then calculate approximately how much are they getting in their bottle, how much do you need to put into a bottle for a feeding. Let me give you an example. If the baby eats every 2 hours probably the baby's eating about 2 to 2.5 ounces per feeding. If the baby's eating every 3 hours, probably the baby's eating somewhere around 3 to 3.5, or 3.5, 4 ounces per feeding. Okay, so longer stretches, more milk in the bottle. All right, this is great information too for if you're going back to work, you know, and I go over this in my breast pumps and briefcases class. We do a whole chapter on calculating how much milk you need to pump for your baby, because that's, I think when you're exclusively breastfeeding, it's one of the hardest things is to go, well, I can't see the milk. So I know it's enough because when I'm feeding, I feed the baby whenever the baby's hungry, but I don't know how much I'm actually pumping, or now that I have to really count on this breast pump and bottles and leaving enough, how much do I do? So those calculations are really important to like figure out how much do I need. And similarly to like your first day back at work would be what Maggie's doing, which is that one night away. How do you plan for it when you're exclusively breastfeeding? How do you save up that milk? You know, and sometimes when the baby's so young, like a month old, there may not be extra. All right. So you're going to have to start a little bit ahead of time. Hopefully you have some time, Maggie, to plan ahead and calculate, okay, well, I'm going to be gone for, 8 hours, or I'm going to be gone for overnight, which means I may be gone for 12 hours. I don't know what the situation is, but if I'm gone 12 hours, I'm going to need somewhere between 12 and 14 ounces of milk to leave for the baby. And so I need to spend, the next 2 weeks pumping an ounce a day extra in addition to what I'm breastfeeding, or I need to spend the next week pumping an ounce and a half each day in addition to what I'm feeding the baby. Again, if you're going back to work, that would be the same thing for your first day back. And calculating that out and dividing it over days versus leaving it all for the last day makes it a lot easier. I mean, you can imagine pumping an ounce or an ounce and a half in a whole day is not hard. Pumping 8 ounces extra in a whole day is really hard. Yeah. So time is your friend when it comes to storage of milk. So give yourself enough time and calculate it out. You may want to get the breast pumps and briefcases class and go to that chapter and learn. And if you're going back to work later, it'll be really helpful. But it's good for anybody who's going to leave their baby for any reason or needs to use a breast pump for any reason, which is like all of us. Yeah. Most of the time, most moms who are breastfeeding will use a pump at some point. And it's just good to have that little bit of freedom. Use your breast pump, introduce your baby to a bottle, be able to do both, because breastfed babies really can do both. And being able to have that little bit of freedom, or, you never know what's going to come up, you may need that little bit of extra milk in the freezer. You're going to need that little bit of freezer stash, or the ability to give your baby a bottle. You just don't know. There's very few moms who are like, I never, ever do it and I don't want to. And that's fine if you don't want to. So you don't have to, but you want to also plan, like if you wind up with I don't know, the first thing that came to mind was like an emergency appendectomy. Like you just don't know.
Wow, you're going big.
What?
You're going big. I was thinking more, a nasty cold and you want to sleep in.
Like, maybe I haven't.
No, we're having major surgery.
You know why? I had my appendix out last year. And I was like, emergency appendectomy. You never know. All right. Oh, Maggie's in the chat. There you go. Oh, well, of course she's in the chat. She posted her question. Sorry, I'm a little slow tonight.
There we go.
You're welcome, Maggie. We're having way too much fun. That's going to be the only problem with Rebecca and I doing this, is that we can both talk, but we can also both get really distracted with each other.
Yeah. Hence why Shari's called Booby Guru and I'm called Sleep Guru.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. We did have another question. Let me see if we have any more sleep questions. We had other sleep questions. I want to pull one up for you. I think that, oh my gosh. Okay. Let's see if I can read any of these. Okay. How about Conchita? Any tips to help a 5-month-old to self-soothe if he has never been good at it?
Yeah, that's a great question. because just because he's never been good at it doesn't mean that he's not ever going to be good at it. It's just, you could go as at a speed that you're comfortable with. I think that's really, really important. Now, that could be that you're just going to work on the beginning of the night, or you're going to want to work on the beginning of the night, potentially during the night. But just, really take it really, really slow and set realistic expectations as well. You are most certainly going to need to be feeding during the night. If you're not, then you are in the minority. The majority of children at 5 months are still needing to feed during the night. But what I would do is, one, just every once in a while, get your child, do your great nighttime routine, get them nice and relaxed, and then just lay them down, because you never, ever know. They may be able to get themselves to sleep. This is exactly how I realized that my eldest daughter, she's now 14. So we have a whole different range of sleep issues right now. But this is when I realized that actually she could get herself back down to sleep, because I was up feeding her during the night, and normally I was feeding her until she was back asleep. And she was probably at about this age, 5 months old. And then one night I was dying for the bathroom. I really needed to pee, and I was feeding her. And then I'm just like, oh my gosh, she's not asleep, but I'm going to pee myself. And so I then put her down in her bed, and I went and I warned my husband, I've just got to go to the bathroom. So if she, if she really wakes, then if she's screaming, you're going to need to help. No, she just went straight to sleep. No problem whatsoever. And so I was like, oh, I didn't know. I've been getting her to sleep all of this time. So then just giving her the opportunity at this age, at 5 months, meant that she was actually able to do it. And I didn't know that she could, because I'd never given her the opportunity to do it. So trying this could be after a feed during the night, or it could be at the beginning of the night. Just seeing, because you may not actually need to be given as much help as you actually think. And as I suggested earlier, just waiting until you really need to be helping during the night. And I know a lot of the time it's that we help really, really quickly, because the more awake our child gets, the more help they need, the longer time it takes us all to be back to sleep. So it's kind of a no-brainer that you're going to help really, really quickly. So I would just try this once a night, and this maybe even before you've gone to bed that you're going to try this, but just give your child that opportunity to see if they can get themselves back to sleep, because they may actually be able to get themselves back to sleep. It may take them a long time to do it, because this is a learned skill. And so they may be awake for 20 plus minutes where they're just hanging out, doing the chatting, maybe getting a little bit fussy. But then if they can get to sleep, then the more times they get to practice this, so the more nights they're able to do it, the quicker they'll get. Because learning to sleep independently is not something that any child just instantly gets. It's the same as rolling over and sitting up and walking. It's something that's learned, and practice makes perfect. So the more times we get to practice it, the quicker they'll get.
Yep. Awesome. Awesome. I'm trying to see here. How do I, oh, here it is. Okay. Yeah, she was saying that she's still feeding. He still feeds at night.
Yeah,
and
that's fine.
Yeah. And that's what she does. She says, always make sure he's asleep before putting him in the playpen.
Yeah, just give it a go. If you know that and just making sure that he's burped really well, because you don't want him being uncomfortable. So, because then he's not there's no way he's sleeping. So just see, you really never know. And if he needs help, then of course, just pick him up. You can either rock him or feed him to sleep then. But it may be that you can just pop him down, and then that, okay, when he's really that relaxed, I can maybe try this at the beginning of the night as well.
Yep. Oh, see, now there is a comment here in the chat. Lisa said, my baby was 6 weeks old and I had to have a cholecystectomy. That means she had her gallbladder out.
Yeah, gosh.
She'd never had a bottle, and it was scheduled the very next morning after my surgical consultation. So my comment wasn't that far off. I know I hear from people about their surgeries. How about we address a question about that, because it comes up so frequently. What happens if you have to have surgery? Do you need to pump and dump that milk? Because this is where there's really bad advice being given out. So I'm going to just say it right here, okay, as part of our chat tonight. If you need to have surgery and you need to have anesthesia, like that one kind of anesthesia that puts you to sleep, you can breastfeed as soon as you're awake enough to hold the baby. Okay, those medications come out of your system quickly. There is no need to pump and dump your milk, although this is advice that's given out by physicians and anesthesiologists. That is untrue. That anesthesia comes out of your body quickly. That's why you woke up. Okay, that is why you woke up.
Yeah.
So as medications go into the milk, they do diffuse back out of the milk. They don't stay there, and some of them quicker than others. Another thing I want to say about anesthetics like that, where it's something that you're getting through an IV or you're inhaling it, there's a reason that you're getting that medication through that route of administration. Okay, so that means that a medication is given to you through your IV. If you were to go drink that medication, it wouldn't have an effect. It doesn't cross through the digestive system. It has to go right into your blood, like through an IV. That's why it's given that way. Remember, if it goes into the milk, the baby is drinking that. And so not all medications that you receive are effective to be ingested. All right, so none of it makes sense. None of it makes sense. Even if there was some left, it would not put your baby to sleep. It would not have that effect on your baby. So you do not need to pump and dump. It's a question that comes up all the time, and you do not need to pump and dump your milk as long as you're awake and you're safe and you can hold the baby, you can nurse the baby. All right, so then you don't have to have all that panic that you don't have enough pumped milk and what are you going to feed the baby? And this is something that comes up all the time. Mm-hmm. Abby's asking, how long does it take for alcohol to leave your system to breastfeed? Usually what I say is that as long as you don't feel drunk, you just don't want to feel the effects of the alcohol, then most likely your milk is safe to go ahead and feed your baby. We know that small amounts of alcohol, having a drink while you're breastfeeding is fine. This is totally different than when you're pregnant. And I'm going to just say that because the research has come out, which we already knew the answer to this, but now there's even more out there that says that breastfeeding and alcohol is okay to do in moderation, in the right timing, making sure that you're not, bombed when you're nursing your baby, that you're waiting a few hours in between the feedings, which what I recommend is, if you're going to drink a glass of wine or have a drink, do that right after you've fed the baby. Or right while you're feeding the baby. It's not going to go in that quickly.
Yeah. Unless you spill it.
Yeah, exactly. So that you have the longest stretch to the next feeding. That's the point of that. That will give your body enough time to what we were just talking about before, which is the alcohol will go into your milk, but it will diffuse back out of your milk. Your milk is not ruined. Okay, given a little bit of time, that milk clears the way that your liver clears the blood. It clears it out of the milk too. The milk clears, and that milk is fine to go ahead and feed the baby. The opposite of that is pregnancy, and there is even new research that even a small amount of alcohol may not be good. It's not good for you and for your fetus. It's a totally different situation. You're talking about a developing fetus with a blood connection, a continuous blood connection versus fully developed newborn or baby with an intermittent milk connection. Totally different. And so I want to make that point really, really clear. If you're pregnant, please avoid alcohol, even small amounts. We just don't know when it's no good, how much is too much. We just don't know when is like the worst time. Each baby's different. And so you just don't want to take chances with that. You hear all kinds of things and advice about this, and I'm just going to reiterate that I don't agree with any alcohol during pregnancy, although I do agree with it while you're breastfeeding. so then you can, all right? I hope that answers your question. There's a lot of really bad advice, and there's really a lot of conflicting advice out there, and it's one of the reasons why I think these Q&As are just so important. Obviously we're the ones speaking. We think what we're saying is important, but more than that, it's just there's so much out there, people giving advice that may not have all the right answers. And sometimes those are even doctors and people who you think you should be able to trust the answer, but they're not the sleep expert. They're not the breastfeeding expert. And make sure that you're really listening to people who know what they're talking about. And that's why I love doing this. And thank you so much, Rebecca, for doing these Q&As with me. I'm super excited for 2018.
Me too. You're very welcome. It's always fun.
It's so fun, right? It's so fun. And so, I don't know. I think we could go all night. There's so many questions in the chat. I don't know if you're watching the chat room, but
Let me see.
I'm like overwhelmed. Like, oh my God.
Oh, wow. There's a lot.
So many questions. We could do like another full hour, but
I could. No, I got to have my dinner. I've not had my dinner yet.
Rebecca's on the West Coast and I'm on the East Coast. And so we're two different time zones, but how awesome is this that we can do this with all of you? Did you enjoy our first breast sleeping Q&A? Did you all enjoy this breast sleeping Q&A? If you did, I want to just have some hearts, and I want to just see hashtag breast sleeping. How about we do that? Hashtag breast sleeping right here in the chat. Let us know if you loved it. And remember what the prizes are tonight, the Lullaby Earth and the Well Mom Breast Support Pillow. If you want to win, you just need to comment here telling me what you love about each product. And make sure you like and love this post. And make sure you're registered. Joe, did you put the registration link in? Okay, Joe's going to put the link in. You have to register to win as well, okay? So make sure that you're registered. And we're going to say goodnight for now. All right, we're gonna say goodnight for now. Everybody stay tuned though, because my membership is about to launch.
Yay!
So if you guys want to watch all the past episodes, all the past Q&As, we've been busy putting things together for all of you. So if anybody's going to want to join, we're going to have a really great opportunity to get in at a very special price to be able to join us in our membership, in our private group. You get all the classes included. There's 800 videos to browse through for all your extra free time. It will keep you busy. We'll keep you busy. So excited about that. We're going to say goodnight, Rebecca.
Yes, I will post, before I have my dinner, I will post that link to that free 10 Days to Better Naps course that I have.
Do that.
Because, I think that's going to be helpful to so many people here, regardless of how old your child is. We're not ever looking for perfection. We're looking for good enough, and we can certainly get good enough.
Yeah, totally. No, definitely go get Rebecca's free class. Awesome.
Yes.
All right, guys, good night. Have a wonderful night. I hope you get some sleep, but don't enjoy your babies while they're little. Rebecca and I have teenagers, and I'd go back for a day just to experience that
totally.
again.
Totally.
We love you guys. We'll see you soon. Mwah. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.